Hello and welcome to Gigi Talks, episode 3 with me, your host Sahil Jagtiani. And today we've got the band ATTVA, and we're going to have a nice, interesting chat with them. This has been also brought to you by ProMusicals, so let's get into it. Hi guys, how are you all doing?
Hey,
Good. We've
Hi.
been good. Hi. How are you, Sahil? We are good. We are in different places of the country right now.
Yeah, where are you guys located? Where all you guys? Where all do you live?
So Vinay and I are in Chennai, and
Okay.
I'm in Calcutta. Yeah, I'm in Calcutta right now. I just came
Nice.
actually 16 days back from Chennai only.
Oh, you went by flight, or what was the scene like?
So all my flights were actually getting cancelled due to this non-stop change of lockdowns in Calcutta, and they
Yeah.
banned flights from Tamil Nadu and few other cities. So I had to take a flight to Hyderabad and then finally come back to Kolkata. So it was like
Yeah.
a long
journey. And
Long
where's Baidurjya? Where is he? Okay, he's joining us. Yeah, he's there. Sorry. 1 minute, hold on. So we've got now the members of the band. Let me read their names out. Shourish, Biswas, who's on bass. We've got Vinay Ramakrishnan, who's on drums. We've got Baidurjya Banerjee, who is on guitar. And Alvin Presley, no relation to Elvis Presley, I'm presuming, right? Who's on vocals and on guitar as well. Wonderful to see you all. Can you all tell me a little bit about yourselves, a little bit about the band, the kind of music you play, and maybe how you met up also? It would be a nice, interesting story to start from that.
Well, I used Saurish and Baidurjya were my college juniors, and
Okay.
we met over college, and then we used to hang out. But then after college got over, we were like, okay, we are musicians, and why not start something really nice? And we started off this band particularly, and then we met up Vinay. Vinay is known in the scene, and then we were like, okay, let's take Vinay as the drummer for the band. And then we started to jam, and things happened one by one. So that's how we basically met. Like everybody belongs to the Chennai scene in different zones. Ultimately, ended
Yeah.
up meeting.
So did any of you go to Rahman School of Music by any chance? Because that's where a lot of people... but I'm sure you have friends who've come out from there, right? Vinay?
Yeah, I have a bunch of friends who have graduated from KN Music.
Yeah.
I also play with a couple of the faculty members from KN Music as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Nice,
and
man.
none of us have, I've been there a few times for rehearsals and stuff like that.
That's nice to hear, man. Hope you guys all doing well wherever you are. Shourish, I didn't get a chance to ask you where you are from, where you're currently located.
So I'm currently based out of Kolkata and
Okay.
doing good.
All doing good, right?
All good.
How are you guys keeping yourselves busy these days? I mean, you're locked down, I'm presuming. So, I mean, what are you guys doing? What's the scene for you guys now? Keeping in mind your musical endeavors.
Well, for
Nothing,
starters,
I think for us, I think it's constant. Going back to where we started, generally from music, like going back to the fundamentals, practicing those, just trying to look back to ourselves because before COVID, I think everyone was pretty much busy and everyone was in a flow. So
Yeah.
we never actually got chance to go back and see how do we stand or where all the places we need to brush up and everything. So I think mostly time goes off like just practicing basics and learning more stuff. I mean, now there's YouTube has everything, so
Yeah.
you can just go ahead and learn anything you want. So basically,
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
And you, Alvin?
well, I wanted to brush up on my production skills particularly, and considering all the COVID scenario and everything going into a lockdown, figuring out this technology and figuring out how to put your music out there in different ways and how to build yourself up in this new normal, and that's what. So I ended up releasing my own EP and then working on. It's very difficult to get tracks from everybody and then sit down and jolt everything now and then send it to the mix master and stuff. So that's what everything is like right now, focused on building more content out and trying to figure out different ways to collaborate with different artists across the world. So that's how it is
Yeah.
right now.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Collaboration is definitely the way in the current scenario for sure. Vinay, what about you? How are you keeping yourself busy?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much like what Alvin was saying. Like, collaborations is the way to go right now. As of right now, I'm also from a live sessions drummer, I've now moved to online remote session. I have an electronic kit over here. So so I record for people all over the world. Basically send drum tracks to anyone who is hiring a session drummer.
Vinay, what is your, this is off the topic question. What's your thought on Get Good Drums? Are they as good as everyone says? Because I've worked with recently. I've gone into VSTs for stuff from Neural DSP, and everyone who uses Neural DSP swears by GGD. So as a drummer, I wanted your is it really, are the samples really that good, and can you really get the feel that you would get from a live drummer?
Yeah, no, definitely. I have not used GGD. Because I've been trying to get GGD, but I've heard samples from it. Some of the tracks that have come to me that were used by GGD, they sound really good. And and as of right now, I'm a full fan of VST drums and sending it out. In fact, I've been recording a whole bunch of tracks and albums for people not only in the country but across the world with VSTs over here. Be it addictive drums or easy drummers, depending on the sound. I record
and Misha doesn't play some childish stuff. He plays a lot of complex stuff. Of his band. So it's like getting that kind of nuances from a VST means that it should be good.
You can definitely program it. It's one thing to program on an MPC or a keyboard or something like that, but if you can play it on a V kit, on an electric kit, that brings out the nuances.
Those samples, that would be next level, basically, right?
Yeah, that brings out those samples a lot more.
Cool, man. Cool. Shourish, what about you? Final.
Well, I have been learning how to produce music now. I've been taking up classes with one of our close friends. He does sound for us for most of our lives. He's been doing these classes off lately during this lockdown. So he was a huge help with this. Furthermore, I've started doing Instagram lives. I've been fortunate enough to go live with Ehsan Noori more than twice now. So he's been doing this quite regularly. And apart from this, I've been just trying to get started. I have a job as well where I'm working and trying to manage this as well. So it's juggling between the both. So I'm currently working on just getting my production skills because Alvin's been the lead in this throughout. We need a second set of hands to handle things right now. So
awesome. That's where hats off to you, man. And Ehsan's a great guy. He's a real amazing. He's a gem, man. I've worked with him when I was reviewing his guitar, for example, on my channel. He used to give me all the insights. I'm like, listen, I can look at the specs, I can talk to Fender, I can get their input, but you tell me, why did you do it? What was your thought pattern behind thought process? He's a really accessible guy, amazing guy. He's actually going to be coming on our channel very soon as well. We're talking to Fender, trying to work out a deal for it. So we're going to get him to do some playthroughs, hopefully. Let's see. Because he can't come to Bangalore because, COVID situation. But excellent guy. And he's not one of those snobbish guys who doesn't deal with a newcomer or only wants to talk to people who are established. He's like the same for everyone, and really good guy.
Absolutely.
And his guitar collection is next level.
Yes, I have been going over his guitar collection as.
No, I tell you, from what I've heard is once lockdown is finished, once this COVID situation is down, I'm taking a camera, I'm gonna go to his house, I'm gonna be like, boss, start from one, and whenever it finishes, just let me know. Even if we're here for 2 days, I want to see the entire collection from top to finish,
he can probably set up a museum of guitar. His guitar collection.
Definitely. You see him at NAMM at Just Beat all the time, and next thing you know, you see him on his live session, then he's got a new Acoustasonic or this or that, something just from NAMM only. Like next week, he's got it in his hand. So he's definitely a guitar aficionado for sure. Okay, and the other interesting bit, which I'll go off topic. I know we've got some set questions, but I thought this would be interesting for you from your perspective. Ehsan Noorani was one of the first. He's the only Indian to get a signature guitar, to have gotten a signature guitar, from Fender. okay, not just from a local company. And he chose Squire so that it would be more accessible to everybody. But when we started this channel, we were always like, when I started Guitar Gear again, I was always like, we've got to feature Indian products, right? And he made it possible for an Indian guitarist, upcoming Indian guitarist, to actually buy a guitarist, of a Indian artist. So how important is it for you guys to actually focus on the Indian aspect of music? I'm not just talking about musically in terms of notes, but also in terms of gear, in terms of other aspects. How important, how would you feel about actually playing Indian products if they were of a good quality? Let me just ask that openly now.
It's a very nice thing that you brought this up, that Ehsan sir actually has endorsed. He has his own signature Squire guitar model. Considering India's economy and considering Indian artists, independent artists, and the way their livelihood is, and the way they have been affected by, all the exposure and all the things that they get often. It's very important that good products at a even at a really lower level are made available to the people, and especially considering all the import taxes and import duties that is brought upon all the other instruments. And making sure that ultimately it's about making everything accessible to the musicians so that they have a bigger, larger set of things to choose from. Unless and until that happens, and unless and until Indian manufacturers, yes, Indian music scene is brilliant. It's everybody is differently talented and everybody's amazing, but to explore their own sound, to explore their path towards their music, it's very important. And unless and until things are made accessible to them, it's going to be very difficult. And it's really great that Ehsan sir actually chose Squire, which is extremely affordable for Indian artists as well.
Yeah. Anybody else wants to add into that a little bit? Sorry.
So I really feel that there's one major upside to using Indian products. I mean, as of now, the entire market is using, let's say, a set of this is this bar that I'm setting for sound.
Yeah.
And let's say that Indian products come into the picture. I would definitely feel that you would have your signature tone being set ASAP when it comes to that. I mean, because it's going to be different. You can't help it, but it's going to be different. And as a musician, at some point of time, you really want your sound to stand out. I think this is going to be one of those areas where it's going to help you to do that. So I feel it's going to be good.
It's going to be good, right? Like, say, for example, even Gigi Gadgets is doing such a fantastic job in terms of not just putting out good power supplies, but also power supplies that are affordable to people. It's cheaper than even, some of the Chinese products that are coming into this country. And they're absolutely pathetic, those Chinese products. I've blown up so many of my pedals in the past. So I did a video today. I released a video showcasing a lot of their products on YouTube. But I tell you, I'm proud that a company like this is coming forward. I think it's so important that we as artists also should encourage them, encourage companies like this, encourage other manufacturers, because if we don't do it, who's going to do it, right? Let's be honest here. If the youth of the country today, the upcoming musicians, do not support their local luthiers or help build up brands like this, then we're always going to be buying from our next door neighbors. There's never going to be a point where we'll be buying Indian products. And I remember there was one company, IRET, that made some fantastic pedals, but the guy couldn't sell the pedals because he was a genius in manufacturing. He was a genius in components, but he was absolutely useless in marketing. And he got taken for a ride by the artists, and all artists, na free mein de do bhai, free mein de do, no one wants to buy it, even though it was half the price of an international competitor. But it's so important that we not just support through our words, but also through our pockets as well, right? In order to keep the money within the market. So, what are your thoughts on that? I know I'm going off topic, but this is more interesting right now. Yeah.
No, I think this is really true. No one's gonna give you the scene. And when we talk about support the local scene, or any kind of like a product or a guitar or a pedal, we ourselves have to create. We can help one another and build up the scene. And looking at when we were talking previously about Indian guitar brands coming up and stuff, India has literally one of the biggest place where a lot of woods are found. A lot of exotic woods are also there. So if people can actually, like people have this thought process that if I buy so and so guitar from so and so country, I might sound like that. But it's not always the case. It's like your guitar will provide you the 30% boost, but remaining 70% remains in your hand. So if India comes up with such great products, which is really affordable, I think that's one thing we should all, support and reach out to other people who don't even know. Because if we don't spread the word, I think a lot of people won't really know about these companies that are coming up and selling so great products and in such an affordable price. Because like I'm a big fan of collecting pedals, like big time. Like these guys keep telling me how many pedals you want to get, but I'll tell you.
Hold on, Baidurjya. You're talking to the wrong guy. How many pedals do you have? Let's put it in a number, boy. Come on.
So right now
you're talking big in your proportions on how many pedals do you have.
So right now I have a board that consists of 16 pedals, and apart from that, I think I have 6 pedals which are on hold, which I don't use it on the board.
22.
Yeah, right.
When you get to 135, talk to me, boy. Remember. Okay. I have 4 boards. I've had to literally manufacture 4 boards. And then I use it. I just love it. And of course, for the show, we get stuff and you have to buy stuff and do. When you're doing shootouts, you have to get all the brands. I mean, all those pedals from that brand. And do you think those brands are going to support an Indian YouTuber coming up? No chance. No chance. So many a time you actually have to go and buy those pedals. But pedals, no one can say in the right mind to me or to anybody who's a good guitarist that you don't need another pedal. Of course, you have 130. There's always space for one more, man. Always space for one more. And of course, you get another pedal. There's always space for another pedal power supply as well. Right, Gigi Gadgets? They will agree with me. Okay, who's the technical nerd amongst you guys? Who's the guy who handles the technical issues on the stage? Who's the one who goes to the sound guy and says, "Hey, buddy, this high is too high over here. That one's too low. Reduce this." Who's the one who does that for you guys? Who's the
I basically listen to everybody and I just go and coordinate if that's what you want. But then most of our tech issues that we face on stage is taken care by our sound engineer, who is unfortunately not here today. But then yes, from stage, I'm the guy who goes to the sound fellow and tells what you want.
So what are the technical difficulties you face? Like especially, that volume switch for all guitarists after the sound check going slightly up on magically on its own.
You mean
to 9?
No, the volume now which goes to when we say, "Hey, bhai, thoda sa kam kar dena," it goes to 3 and then 9, kam kar diya. Yes, exactly. That kind of technical issues we try to avoid now. So what we do is what we have done is we are getting, especially for people like Baidurjya, who's on stage and who does this page on stage. So what we did is we just got an amp simulator and cab simulator and let everything to the sound guy. Now he's the one who's like, "Ha, tum badhao, I'll take care of everything." But then that's how it is. Like,
but what about your stage volume? Are you guys all in-ears or are you?
We are all on in. We go in-ears because after a certain stage, it's very important. After a certain point, it's very important that we trust the sound guy for our sound, because when we become conscious on stage, okay, my guitar is so loud, my volume, my vocals is loud, Baidurjya's guitars is low, or Shourish's bass is high. When we start thinking these things instead of monitoring our own stuff, ultimately the performance is going to get affected. The only way that can be avoided, I feel, is to figure out your own thing and then trust the sound guy to figure everything out for us.
So, I mean, you would agree there's a process, right? There's a process when you have your rehearsals, when you have your arrangements done. You might be different in the studio, of course, and then you plan for live. Maybe Vinay, you can talk a little bit about this, since you're a studio musician. You will understand what I'm getting at. The studio factor and then the live factor. There's a preparation process, right, for the two. So how do you guys relate to that? Because you can't have all your instruments, or do you do tracks also playing behind you to support you? I mean, how do you get by?
So at the moment, we've been doing all live. We were in the process of trying to, we were creating some backing tracks to have for our gigs, which ultimately got cancelled because of Corona. But all this while we've been doing live, and the only thing right now, especially with our in-ears, for live situation which we started was, going, all of us, in fact, I forced all of them to go on click. So all of us, it's just until very recently, I just, got all of these guys to go on click, to send the click into each and every one's ears. And, it's improving slow, stage by stage.
So that's the technical preparation that you guys are putting into your live performances. What about the actual performances? I mean, do you pay any attention to the showcasing value, the showmanship, like on stage? Do you have a plan? Because a lot of bands also go and are very vanilla on stage. They just play exactly. Everyone will be in their own little spaces, and then there are bands who actually prepare that also. I mean, that in itself is also an aspect of live playing. Or I don't know. I mean, it's every band is different, of course. So, what are your dynamics on that thing? Shourish, would you like to answer that?
So, in terms of stage dynamics, I feel that yes, it is a performance that you need to put up for us. We've evolved from a stage where we were quite what you were describing right now, to somewhere where I mean, you can see Alvin jumping all throughout the stage, right? There are parts where BBG goes all God mode, comes on stage on the amp, and he goes all badass on the stage. So there are definitely parts like that. Now we're slowly improving. Slowly, I mean, we are coordinating, we are including a script as to what to do. We realize throughout our journey that it has to be an experience for the audience as well, viewing it live. Not just for us who are playing, but especially for the audience, since we are playing for them and we cannot just stand in one place and just keep going on further like that.
So all the newcomers who are listening to this, what advice do you, after having been together as a band, have for those people who are just starting up a band? What is it that what are the technical difficulties that you guys face? What is the difficulties you face in jumping from the garage from your one rooms practicing together to actually being on a small stage to going on a larger stage? What are all those technical difficulties that you guys went through that you'd like to share with the newcomers to basically help them avoid those same difficulties? Any kind of preparation, anything else you think that will help them?
I think the biggest thing that one artist can do or one band can do for themselves is getting as comfortable as they can get with their songs. That's like the biggest technical preparation that you can ever do. Just not just knowing your parts, but then knowing what the other musician is going to play on stage. It's also very important, because that is ultimately going to help you figure out what your role is in the song and not just in the band. That's where you begin everything, and it's okay to go and mess up on stage. It's completely fine, and you don't have to feel conscious about it. Okay, forget about what the future holds for you. But then in that particular moment, when you're on stage, every performance needs to be looked out as your last performance, and that's very important. And
Nice.
you're going to face technical difficulties, like your guitar might be out of tune. Your guitar might not sound at all on the PA system, and that often happens. Like when you're in one particular zone, that you're 45 minutes on this onto your set list, and then you realize, yeah, for the last part, for the past two songs, my guitar was detuned. And you have to figure these things out. These are very small details, but then ultimately, when it comes to performance and putting out a show, rather than you just performing on the stage, giving like Shourish mentioned earlier, like giving out an experience to the crowd, you have to make sure that you are right where you are, what in whatever you are doing, and
that's also
don't just be very conscious.
Very nice. And excellent. Yeah, sorry, anything?
Yeah, I want to add one thing. That is what Alvin said on that. That is one very important thing that we all should keep in mind is know your guys in the band. As in, like we all think what to play, but you got to have this mind is what not to play also. Like there have been times where I have been like, Alvin has been told me like, play for a solo, like play a minute solo, but you can go all out or you can go as per the song. So those are very trivial things, but you should keep in mind ki, there are times where you should hold yourself. There are times you should go all out, because if you go all out throughout, then I think that spice somewhere goes off. Like, you should come in that point where you should go for a couple of seconds, go all out, and then go back. Let the other musicians in the band also have this space have their parts to showcase also, because it's not one person show. It's like it's a couple of people doing it together. So
no freebird solos from you, is it? That's what you're saying?
well, I don't know. I still do it, but but still, like, should be.
One thing I'd really like to add to this is as actually, you know, from the conception to actually going live on stage.
Yeah.
Jam, practice, jam. So that's one thing, and the reason why I'm saying is because initial first few times you'd realize that you end up playing on stage and you may end up making mistakes even if you don't know certain people's parts apart from your own, let's say. But after you jam a certain number of times, you have like this sort of a sixth sense that you get, but that you intuitively think on what the other person, your bandmate, is going to play. Even if someone goes off track at some point of time, you know what they are going to play because you've jammed with them so many. This has happened with me, this has happened with Alvin so many times. Just because we've jammed with each other relentlessly throughout, I mean, whatever. So, I mean, if somebody goes somewhere, we know what's happening. So from the audience perspective, it's all cool, but we know what's going on.
They don't have a clue, and you're like, oh, Bhagwan, man, what has he done? You know, kind of a thing. I know what you mean. I know exactly. And you practice that same thing in the rehearsal room 100 times, but you get on the stage and something happens, and you're like, sorry, you know. It happens.
When you're playing a track and then you're playing your part and then like,
Yeah.
But you know, it's very important because we know the parts. Now we also have this understanding key. Okay, we mess this up. In order for the song to not get messed up, we have to figure out an alternative on stage.
Awesome. So it's,
and that's very important.
So isn't that also a factor? Like, this is my rolling on to a next unscripted question, which I think you guys should answer. Is the first question, the first part of it is basically, in today's society, everything is like focused on the individual becoming an island onto himself. That means the production, the backing tracks, everything is basically you can even have a one-man show on Instagram. You see a lot of the Instagrammers, you know, going through their parts 1,000 times, speeding it up. Sorry, maybe something. Anyway, but basically, you know, showcasing their skill set. Their the word is basically what's that word I'm looking for? They're focused on the technical aspect of playing what they've learned perfectly. It's like a perfect polished performance being put up in a 1-minute format. Okay, showcasing that, you know, you have the skill set required to play on the biggest stage. But when you go with that same person in a band format, you know, they don't know how to improvise because they've been mugging those notes up, playing it so quick. But then suddenly you say, hey man, play, you know, free for all, you know, G major kar le, ya pentatonic kar le, you know, do whatever the hell you like. You have 1 minute solo, start. You're like, you know, they freeze up. So isn't that also important, that the dynamics are important in a band more than the individual skill set? Isn't that important? Like, you can put technical players together, but there's no guarantee they'll gel well, you know, or there's no guarantee that they will be able to, come up with new material, because they're great players, but they're not great improvisers also in this world, right? So, I mean, I'll just open that question to you, and then we'll go to our partners who are over here. Yeah, go ahead. Anyone can take that on.
Hi, Sudhin.
Hi, Sudhin from ProMusicals. Hi, nice to see you. So I just asked the band one last question, and then we'll come over to you.
Yeah. I'm waiting for the answer. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you great.
Yeah, thanks.
Anyone can do. I open this up to any of you guys.
So I actually feel that it should be a healthy mix of both. I mean, let's say when you construct a song, you definitely need to know your parts. So at some point in time, there is a little bit of rote memory coming into play. But on the other hand, like I mentioned before, you need to jam as well as you need to know each other's parts. It's a healthy mix of both, wherein you know that you give the other person, give the other instrumentalist or the musician his space to experiment. In a band, if you don't give the person that leeway to experiment, they do not figure out their own individuality rather than their own sound or what they want to improvise on. If you don't jam with them enough, they obviously get restricted into a box. Like a lot of guitarists, they obviously follow a box principle. Getting out of the box is a problem for most guitarists currently. So I feel that going out of a comfort zone when it comes to jamming is extremely crucial. And in fact, we've had those people that you were mentioning before who we've actually jammed and played with them also who stick to whatever they know, and they don't improvise as such. So yes, you can definitely pull off a gig. Those guys are really good for pulling out gigs which really solely or rely on covers, for example. But when it comes to something like original music, you need to have a sense of originality as well. You cannot just go on copying somebody. You need to have a sense of, let's say that, okay, I need my sound, I need my guitar to sound like this. Which is why you need to jam.
So that's the next part. Sorry, Kaki. The next part is that only. It's basically the virtuoso is not. It's not defined by someone who plays a cover well. It's by someone who can be in a difficult situation and yet make it sound fantastic, right? So it can even be less notes, but it should sound well. And so the group dynamic is also more important, right, than the individual's talent, than the individual's prowess, right? I mean, anyone can answer that. I mean, Vinay.
Yeah,
sorry. Oh, whoever that was.
Yeah, we all know Mark Knopfler, right? Like he plays one note and we feel it. I know his guitar is speaking, It's answering your question, a person can be as knowledgeable as they can be. But then if they do not know how to implement the knowledge, it's like you're learning ABCD, but then you don't know how to form alphabets.
Correct.
If you do not know how to form alphabets, okay, you might know how to form, as in don't know how to form words. I mean, my bad. You can form words, but then if you're not able to form a sentence out of it, it's not going to make sense at all. You're not going to complete the passage or complete the poem, and that's just how music also works. You need to understand why you're learning what, and you need to know how you're going to implement it. And if you're not able to do that, it is going to get difficult. And music schools particularly, they need to teach them that, not just the technical and the textbook aspect of it. So
I'll share a small experience of mine from being on YouTube. YouTube will immediately audio claim anything you play that's copyrighted, right? So if I'm basically reviewing a pedal and I play Sweet Child of Mine, that's basically gone, and there are chances that the video will also get deleted. So whoever comes on my show, the first thing I tell them is you can't play anything that's original. I mean, anything that's copyrighted. You have to play from scratch. Just figure it out before you come here one day. And sometimes on spot, I'll tell the guy, hey, listen, it was absolute bakwas. Play something. It's okay, I'll jam with you. We'll figure out something. So that's where I've learned the importance of improvisation. Unless you don't know how to improvise, you're never going to really stand out in music. You're never going to really stand out in the music industry because simply you're just copying what other people can do. And there is a guarantee that somebody else will do it better than you. But when you play what you want to play, when you play your original stuff, that's where you really can stand out. That's where you can really make a mark. So, okay, so Baidurjya, sorry. So then one more question for Baidurjya because he's a pedal fanatic like me. I need to get my kicks from this question. So, okay, Baidurjya. 3 questions, all in one, rolled in one. 1, what technical difficulties did you have when you were making your rig? Okay, only for you, nobody else. No one else will understand this. Only us two. Okay. 2nd, pedal power, daisy chain. Did you do multi-pot? Are you open to a custom rig option, customized pedal power option as well? And how well do you give your importance to your pedals? I mean, is it just like, okay, I will like plug it in and then that's it, I've left it, or do you actually have some kind of a maintenance process also since you have so many pedals? I would also like to get some tips from that as well.
Right. So one very important thing when I was dealing with pedals is like, if you don't understand the signal chain, that might create a big issue. Like initially when I was starting off, I did not know like what comes where. Like there is no right way or wrong way, but there is definitely there's a small format that you can follow to get to a fundamental sound from where you can take over however you like. Or you can rearrange the pedals and you can go for it. What I faced is when I was using a pedal board and I was going live on stage, and there were times that the stage was not being able to provide me with an amp or an cab. So when I used to connect the whole setting to DI and like to the monitors, it used to sound very bad. For a while, I thought my pedals were the issue. But then after, deep diving and, trying to understand how pedals work, I realized that pedals are more good when you use it with an amp and a proper cab. And if you don't use it with an amp or a cab, if you don't have a physical amp or a physical cab right with you, you can actually get simulators like an amp simulator or a cab simulator or stuff like that. Yeah. And if you arrange, especially your distortion pedals, like they work wonder with your amps. And if you use the distortion pedals without an amp or a cap, it might not sound the way you have heard or you've been imagining the pedals sound to be. So if you get those stuff in your board probably, and then rearrange your board based on your amp, like keeping your whole stage setup in mind and making the board, that really gives you that extra edge. You can take out amazing stuff from just one or two pedals. It's not necessary that you need to have like 10, 12, 13, 14 pedals, but the whole signal chain is very important. Like you can't you can't put a like a pitch or a wah pedal in between anywhere and expect it to sound like how it should, right? Yeah. So that's one thing when you're making the signal chain. Like, properly study your pedals, and also like when you're purchasing pedals, you should not go like that. This is the pedal I want because it looks cool. I get like that's also there. Like definitely you should do that. But I'm saying you should know what you actually want. Like if you want so and so kind of a sound, and that amp provides you that sound, then better off get that amp's micro pedal. Like nowadays they have so good micro pedals. Yeah, so many micro pedals. So you don't have to have like a big amp simulator or cap simulator. You can have the small micro pedals which works like a beast. Like the moment you connect it, it'll be amazing. Coming to the power supply part, so I actually used to initially do daisy chain in my initial days, and I remember there was a gig I was playing in Chennai, only in Radisson, where midway of the gig, the whole board fried. Like I saw a short circuit, like I saw the spark and there was smoke. So, so that was the day I decided it's not going to work out. So I went and purchased a couple of the pedal power brick that you generally find in Amazon and stuff like that, which is so-called isolated power supplies. But if you actually properly research and do it, they're all connected. They're actually not non-isolated power supplies, basically. Yeah. So what happens is when we switch on or off an amp, we hear a pop sound, right?
Yeah.
So that pop sound is created because of like two kind of emissions. Like this is like going a little deep, but I'm just talking.
No, please. At least I'm like
yeah. So this pop sound actually happens because of two kind of emissions that happens in the board. So so due to which if you're using a pedal board which has both digital pedals as well as analog pedal, your digital pedal is the region where you should more concentrate because it has like CPUs and it has this PSUs that's there, and there's high chance of different kind of radiation emissions that are happening which get captured in the audio path.
Yeah.
So what pedal companies generally look for is they try to cut off the maximum amount of the emission that's happening on the in and the out. But what happens, even if you add filters, they are called filters when you add in between CPUs and PSUs, you can cut off to an extent of your buzz, sound, emission, whatever you can call it. But if you're using a non-isolated power brick, that audio path actually travels through the power brick and it goes and feeds you to the next pedal. So even if you keep your lead wires or your patch cables and you still find the hum or the buzz, you kind of figure out like what is happening. But when you actually put an isolated power supply, that whole thing is sorted, because even if it goes through your connector, it gets stopped. It doesn't travel to the next port. So there is no chance of your emission of the audio port to come to the next pedal's audio path. So you have a better chance of getting lower sound. And I feel like if people are buying power supplies rather, they should actually check. Like if you're buying it already, then can't be helped. But even if you bought a couple of power supplies in your home and it's on spare, you guys should check out whether your so-called isolated power supplies are isolated or not. That way, you'll actually find out where the issue on the board is. Because you might be cussing your pedals, oh, this is a bad pedal, or it's a cheap pedal, or this is not the pedal that's supposed to make me sound good. But if you actually look properly, it's all about the power supply. Like it's the heart of the board. If it's not
very true. I'll cut you there. A lot of people actually what they do is they spend the money on buying the pedals, the pedal board, the lovely cables that go with it, everything. And when it comes to the power supply, the cheapest thing that's available on Amazon. अरे चल रहा है ना, चलने दो. So there's no concept of DC to DC isolation in terms of the digital pedals. I would add, however, that in many cases where it's the cheaper pedals, where it's not, it's like less than 100 mA drop, it's not so important to have DC to DC isolation unless, especially for example, there are some power supplies which don't have DC to DC isolation but are really good for that particular purpose because they have surge protection, they have other things also which a beginner would find more of use than someone like, someone who's been playing for a long time. But of course, the moment you get to digital pedals, you definitely need DC to DC isolation. Also, high gain pedals, without a doubt. These two are like the cutoffs. Without, you need to have DC to DC isolation. Okay, enough nerding on this. Another question for. Okay, now let me move on to Sudhin because he's come all the way from ProMusicals. Let me get. But before that, would you like to sing your song? Would you? Then we'll go to Sudhin and ask a couple of questions. Would you be okay with that?
Yeah, I'm waiting for a song.
So who's going to regale us with a track? Alvin, okay, go for it.
Alvin.
So this track is called Saiforosh, and I'm catering to the larger crowd here. And this song is called Saiforosh. It's from our EP, upcoming EP Saiforosh, which is the self-titled. This is the title track, and hopefully you guys like it. Oh. Oof. दिन ढला फिर भी तू जगा, रातों में भी है तू चला, सोच में है तू क्यों पड़ा, दर्द में भी है तू चला, मिलते हैं जो भी यहाँ पे, चले जाते गम जाकर, उड़ 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 चला, खामोश है तू क्यों खड़ा, सरफरोश है ये आसमां, उड़ 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 चला, खामोश है तू क्यों खड़ा, सरफरोश है ये आसमां। फिर भी तू जगा, रातों में भी है तू चला, सोच में है क्यों पड़ा, दर्द में भी है तू चला, मिलते हैं जो भी यहाँ पे, चले जाते हम जाकर, उड़ 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 चला, खामोश है तू क्यों खड़ा, सरफरोश है ये आसमां। Yeah. सोचना क्या तुझको मंजिले हैं पुकार धड़कने भी है तेरी सोचना क्या तुझको मंजिले हैं पुकारती धड़कने भी है तेरी Saiforosh hai ye aasmaan chala khamosh hai tu kyun khada Saiforosh hai ye aasmaan. Yeah, this was the song called Saiforosh, and we wrote this as a band like 3 years ago, but then it's coming out on track now, so look forward to it.
Wow, lovely, excellent. Okay, so we'll just quickly move on now to some questions for Sudhinji from ProMusicals. Let's start with you. The Make in India, Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, is it necessary or is it okay to use, in your opinion, Chinese generic products for music?
Well, the first thing is there are two angles to it. It's are we looking at this whole nationalistic way, or are we looking at it in a more global way, or is it just music first? So the way I look at it is music. I mean, I don't care who makes it. Firstly, okay. Now it's very important to put things in perspective. So the whole loyalty thing to the country comes in from like, okay, I make music, but if I made it with my friends, it's special to me, right? So if I just made it with anybody who makes good music, it's fun, but it's really more fulfilling when you do things with closer friends, with people you know, with it's a much deeper feeling. I think all of you know. I mean, 6 of you guys, all of you there in the group know what I'm talking about, right? So, I mean, you'd play with, the biggest, famous, most guitarist in the world, or you may play with the famous, most drummer, but playing with you 6 guys on stage is something else. So the same way, I mean, you wonder where I'm going with this, but then I'm trying to get away from the fact that it's important where it's made, but it's important how much you enjoy doing your music. And that's what I've discovered in 40 years of doing this. It's not important to label stuff, made here, made there, or whatever. But there is something special when it comes to, hey, this cake was made by my friend, or this pedal is made by an Indian company that in a country where nobody has ever done something of this before, it takes on a special meaning, which is, I guess, really, I mean, I guess all of you can get what I'm saying, it's that personal connect. It's important to know that it's made by people closer to the heart. And that way, the country, of course, I mean, there's so many products I feel I've been importing, and frankly, I'm tired of it. In 30 years, I've been telling people, why the heck can't you make products? These are products easily made in India. Why aren't we doing it? And I'm throwing that question out to everybody out there, is why aren't we doing it? Why are we always looking for somebody else to do it? So even though I may sound contradictory in what I just said, I want to rise above really who made it is the first thing. But the second point is, why aren't we doing it? So it's however you want to take, whichever approach you want to make to that. I hope that answers your question.
So but let's get a little bit more technical about that. Is it that you feel, okay, that you import it from another country, but then don't you face the challenges if it was made in India, for example, the after sales, servicing that is there, the number of service centers that are there, the quality assurances that an Indian company would have to give since they are local and we can actually approach them, wouldn't that make more of a difference for the end consumer? Especially wherein right now we're importing things from another country, and there's no guarantee that if it blows up, that we are going to get it within a short period of time back in the same condition. I mean, what are the challenges you as a distributor have faced on
Absolutely. It's a huge challenge. And that's the primary driving. What you've nailed on the head is probably that. Because there are still people who, despite everything, still import a product. And and even though we say, hey, we have a service center here, we're not going to give you a warranty if you're buying it from another country. They say, yeah, and they don't realize the problems of bringing it into a country, and then they don't get a warranty. So you nailed it. Service is the first thing that's important to an Indian company. Spare parts, the cost of maintenance. You don't have to ship the product back to UK to get it serviced. And I mean, it's huge. It's huge. And on a product like a power supply, man, there are opportunities where a distributor like us would just, would just give the customer a quick replacement of or whatever the policy is, to just fix the problem first and then talk about it all later. Because musicians, they just want to do their craft. Okay, they don't want an explanation like saying, oh, it's this spare part is not, I have to import that and you have to get this from somewhere else. That's not going to cut it. They just want to do what they do, right? And the faster you get your customers to continue flawlessly doing what they're doing, which is music, is definitely the company that does that is going to win. And yes, therefore, a made in India product is almost certainly going to win on that. No discussion.
Yeah, and as a follow-up question to that scenario is, given our current situation, with COVID and the lockdown and the restrictions on imported goods, and also the new 42% import duty on shipping and on the invoice value, isn't that also going to play a part in affecting, the choices we make in choosing an Indian product over a foreign product, in addition to the servicing aspect also of it? And and another part of that question, follow on with that is, what can we do? Literally, like supposing we want to do something, supposing there's like 40 musicians who are listening to this, and we want to do something about this, what literally can we do to improve the situation? What can companies do to improve the situation? What can the government do to improve the situation?
Well, that's a two-pronged question. So the first thing is, what can we do? So I would, rather than ask my customers what they can do, I'd rather, the old traditional way, don't ask what country can do for you, what you can do for the country kind of an answer is very applicable here. Because I'm not even looking out to your viewers and asking them, hey, please buy the product. That's not even where I'm approaching it from. I'm saying, if I don't have the faith in an Indian product and don't stand by the product, then how can I ask my customers to? So I think that's the very first thing that we as industry people and our supply chain, is that I can convince my supply chain to understand the same beliefs that I have. And that's important before we get customers to buy. So once a supply chain understands the importance of basically keeping your customer happy with a quality product with the minimal downtime, that's all the customer wants. Okay, and what you pointed out, an affordable product, very important. So if you can cover these three, you're set. And if your supply chain can convey these three aspects to musicians who are your viewers and others right now, that is half the battle won. Because the musicians down the line are actually quite influenced by the internet and swayed by the internet in all kinds of directions, by pretty ads or reviews by people you don't even know. So it's important that the influencers are actually musicians, like the musicians on screen right now. You guys are strong influencers. You also have to back up the message, saying, which you're all doing right now, and backed up by the industry. I mean, where else can a newcomer, when he's told by a professional musician, when he's told by a professional distributor, And that kind of gives him the confidence that, hey, I'm taken care of, I'm okay. And I test the product at the various facilities, at various dealers, which is important, because important products are not always available for testing at dealers. I guess all of you will agree that as a musician, you want to test the product and see for yourself. Because made in India in the past had a bad stigma attached. But the very fact that I'm on screen right now is because I was extremely happy in a very short time, right from the website to the product quality to the people who are endorsing it. Baidurjya is also our endorser for other products. So the confidence we share. I mean, if I'm looking at him up here and I get a confidence. So it's the shared confidence that your users down the line will get. And once the product is into the market, the rest is just taking care of them and keeping them satisfied. Does I think that
Wonderful.
covers all the aspects.
And one last question is, what are the trends that you're seeing now in the current lockdown in terms of music sales, in terms of instrument sales? Is there a change in the scenario compared to what it was before the lockdown?
Well, it's an amazing change. I've been doing this 40 years, 35 years now, and um, I think many of you were not born at that time when we brought in. Uh, okay, that's a giveaway how old I am now. But stuff like sound cards, audio interfaces, when we gave people like A.R. Rahman and Sandeep Chauta and Shankar Ehsaan Loy, they had never even seen products like this before, right? New technology products. So these are products that what we brought in were stuff that musicians could make their music at home. Okay. Now you guys are looking at a trend of all of you staying at home and making music. But when we came in, it was an era of the old classic music directors, and it was very different. There was no internet and stuff like that. So to answer your question, huge changes. I mean, I'm looking at things that have, wow, come from an age of no internet to stuff where everybody online right now knows so much. I mean, I'm just listening to you guys talk about technology and saying, wow, you guys are the people I've been waiting for 30 years, right? Uh, because when I brought sound cards, apart from Rahman and Harris and Shankar Ehsaan Loy, there was nobody who knew what we were talking about. So it took me 25 years to come to the stage where we are today. But I guess there's a time for everything. And mobile home studio production, even though it started 25 years ago, is now the time where it's exploding. So to answer your question about the trend, it's always been a trend. But in India, it's taken 25 years to kind of explode. Right now, it's just gone through the roof. I mean, we don't even have product to give people. So unfortunately, the flip side of it is that people are at home with not enough work, and okay, that's all going to change. It's not going to last forever. Sorry, that's my doggy here asking for my attention. So it's going to change, and everybody's going to be back at work and stuff like that. But so the trend now um, is at it's at a critical stage where it's moving over, where people are kind of figuring out um, um, they're all becoming engineers and producers, and they're doing everything at home. Is like I heard you guys discuss earlier. So the skill set is changing. It's really where everybody is becoming highly skilled at what they do. But what I would ask here is, that's one part of it, and that will, in the next couple of generations, the kids will be doing parallel compression and all that kind of stuff automatically. You don't even have to teach them all that. But the thing is, I'm noticing is it's also people are beginning to explode in their creativity. The song I just heard, fabulous. I mean, I couldn't even imagine somebody creating a song like that 25 years ago. Okay, so that's something that's that's a bright spark for us. Is that artists are just exploding all over the country. The gear they are using is fantastic. The skill set they are adopting is great. So all I can say is it's great time for musicians to be alive and making music. There's no better time. There's no better time. So, but focus on the music. You guys are doing a great job. Focus on the music. The rest will all come naturally. You can make music on very simple, humble gear. I don't know if you can, I don't know what you're seeing over here. This is my little setup um, at home. And what I'm trying to say is it rivals even major studios. Just having a very simple compact setup at home with just some software and a laptop and even a basic sound card, the music wins ultimately. I'm going to leave you with
Wonderful.
one anecdote, which I guess you all know Leslie Lewis, Colonial Cousins. Yeah, okay, legend in India. So Leslie told me that in spite of all the fabulous studios he's been to and all the high-end gear that he's bought and all that, his best takes came out of production at home on his little cheap $100 sound card, because he could do it when he wanted, when his throat was in the best condition, and when the meter of the studio was not ticking, or when the studio was not available. When you're in great shape, studio is not ready. So all that thing is history. So if you're asking for a trend, man, you can't ask for a better thing than what's happening now, because all of us in different cities, we can be producing music in different cities, exchanging music. Of course, the human connection will come back, but that's just a little glitch in our cycle. Uh, but it'll come back to that. So to close my answer is, we are in fabulous times. Enjoy the music. We really look forward to more creativity, and just have fun doing it. I mean, it may sound like a cliche, but the bottom line is, when you touch your 50s, you all just sat and you were so serious, and you fought about money and gear, and you'll realize all that doesn't matter at all. Just have fun making music is what I'd like to leave all of you with. I mean, it's not a tech answer, but you'll realize that music making was never about tech. It was always about making fun music and enjoyment.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Sudhinji.
That trend is never going to change. That should always be the trend.
Absolutely. Focusing on the music. Wonderful. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for joining us. And and actually, I have visited your store 30 years back. But and I did like it a lot. I don't look that young. I mean, don't look that old, but still, I've been around a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, you are definitely one of the mains. Your store is definitely one of the mainstays over there. So 100%. It's like, and just one more small follow up. Just if I don't, we're running out of time, but I think this is important. Yeah. Are you finding online sales happening for your company a lot more than the offline sales?
Yes, a lot. A lot of sales is happening online, but that's an obvious consequence of the situation, more than anything else. And so there is. The answer is yes. Online sales is.
And do you think this trend will continue even after the lockdown eases out, or do you?
Yes. Let's put it this way. India is not. I mean, every country follows the same life cycle. Okay. To the Western countries. So whatever, if you want to see what's going to happen to India, you just have to look to the other countries, and where online sales is huge. It is going to be like that. However, if you go to the US or Germany or many other, Japan, and you'll find these little hole in the wall kind of shops where you have specialist musicians who are still selling very high-end gear, very customized gear. So it's going to go in different directions, and there will always be the bulk pop products which will sell online, but there will still be the little, not like the Sweetwaters and stuff. You'll have little personalized stores where the owner is sitting there himself and shows you really vintage guitars or pedals and stuff like that, which you'll never get in other stores. So it will kind of diversify, just the way that your local vegetable store still exists despite your mega superstores. So it's not going to change. Human contact is still going to be at least 40% of the experience.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thanks to ProMusicals for supporting this wonderful show, this wonderful initiative from Gigi Gadgets. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thanks. So back to the band now. Tell me something. How can we, just following on from these questions to Sudhinji, how can we also be more vocal for local? That's the hashtag we're using on Gigi Talks. So how would you be more vocal for local? How would you express that, and how would you encourage others to be like that also? So I can start. Anyone can unmute and start.
I can give you a little small example, when we generally have gigs, anywhere in the city, we generally we try and we expect people to show up for the gigs, where in turn we don't show up for anyone's gigs. So I think first thing which people can actually do is start showing up for every other gig, because if we don't fill up the benches, then no one's gonna do it for when you're going to perform. So we got to support first. That's the primary thing we got to do as musicians, helping another musician, is encourage them, go to when they are in the act and say, hey, I'm there. I like what you do, and I'm going to be there no matter how the show goes. That's a very primal thing that one musician can do, because that really gives a big boost to the one who's on stage. And it's always good to see, few faces that you always expect, these guys should be there. So I think that's one thing you guys, we all should do. And I don't anyone else can take it from here.
Similar to the musicians being there, it's important that, for example, Baidurjya is working with Gigi Gadgets right now. And it's very important that we support something, not just which is a part of the music, but also part of the music industry, on an overall basis. When it comes to manufacturing goods which are very local, which need voice, which need support from the musicians. Okay, it's not just I'm going to compose a song and I'm going to perform on the stage and my friends are going to watch it. Okay, if I'm going to perform, okay, and if I am in any way related to a company, or if I am to a local company, or if I am endorsed by that company, or if I like the products that the company makes, it's very important that the word of mouth is also there, that I spread this news that, hey, you know what, there is this one company where you can actually get this kind of stuff. And one very good example in the Chennai circuit is Tulsi guitars. Everybody knows Tulsi guitars, and it's just so beautiful, the guitars they make and the way they work. It's just really nice. And local products are coming up in all the different places of the country as well. Like Sudhin Ji was telling, and Gigi Gadgets, it's a fairly it's a local company, and people are actually liking the kind of products that they are making. And if we speak about things like this more, it is going to help not just the companies but also the musicians to understand that, hey, you know what, we have a really good MVP over here, which we can use, which is going to help us eventually. It's about spreading news about everything overall, making a nice environment and nice ecosystem for music to grow.
So as far as Alvin said, it's completely great when it comes to making an ecosystem, wherein the artists as well as people doing production and doing live shows, everybody is helping each other hand in hand. That goes without saying. That is one thing that I'll give you a very small example. So back when we were one random jam, we were onto a jam pad. This friend of ours had a guitar from Tulsi. That's the first time I actually came in touch with a guitar from Tulsi. That's when I got to know of the company. It's when musicians as such use equipment or instruments from Indian companies that other musicians will get to know and will, be inspired to use them. If we don't do it ourselves, it's not going to happen. It's as simple as that. We have to put our foot down when it comes to this. Have to support each other, irrespective. Because
so it's not just the musicians you're supporting. You're supporting the musical instrument manufacturers also, the gear manufacturers also, to create that ecosystem.
Not just them, even everybody as part of, because when you see a live performance, it's not just the people on stage. Is the people behind, is the people with sound, everybody involved with a production, for right from the initial electricity to the actual sound coming out to the person's ears. Everybody in that chain has to support each other. It works only then.
Super, very nice answer. Vinay, you're next. Come on.
it's pretty much what all these guys have covered. It's just supporting each other. I mean, apart from Tulsi guitars, I also there is also a couple of other South Indian. What's it? Luthiers? Is that the term? Guitar luthiers? I'm not sure, but anyway, basically there are South Indian guitar makers, and in fact, a friend of mine just released. He just started his own guitar company from Trivandrum. He just started. I just got the message, and like all these guys said, support, support your friends. Support the people.
Yeah, I mean, make sure your friend gets in touch with us for Guitarist's Gyan review also. Tulsi guitars, I heard that they're not.
I think
they're not in business now. No? Are they still in business?
No,
It's slowed down, but then
they're very much in business. Yes.
They are, because when I spoke with him, he had said that he's more
because of
focusing on the violins than the guitar aspect. They're selling better for him. I don't know. I mean, I'm just asking. You guys would know better since you're from Chennai.
Because now, I'm not sure how it is now, but they're definitely doing their business over there. They've got a good setup.
So I don't.
Couple of they used Tulsi guitars.
Nice. So it's important that we support. It's important that we support our local guys. I don't know if you guys know about this. There's a company in Bombay called Animal Factory Amps. We've done a couple of reviews for their products also. I mean, they're on par with Friedman BOD and some crazy fuzzes. I would really suggest you go and check those videos out. Incredible stuff. And the worst part is they only sell 2% of their entire sales product in India. 98% of it is in Europe. So they're not even bothering. They've given up on us, And that makes me feel bad that, there's such good products. Just because it's made in India, we're not giving it the importance. And he doesn't just do like an OEM scene, like he'll go and manufacture it in China and then put a stamp there and then import it to India and sell it as an Indian brand. He's actually manufacturing everything here and he's exporting it out. So guys like that, guys who are innovators, we really need to support them. And if we don't do it, who's going to do it, right? At the end of the day. So that's just.
I mean, at the end of the day, even if you just try it out, just try out the products and whatnot. Just start from there, and then see how it goes from there.
I can tell you from personal experience. Today I released the video for Gigi Gadgets, and the Gigi Gadgets packaging, just the packaging alone, was incredible. You go watch that video on Guitar Gear. I was in shock. I was like, the internet, Strymon doesn't package their power supplies like this, And there was so much thought process gone into the packaging. I was blown away. So it's not as if we are not building, we're just saying simply buy in India. We're saying, buy good quality from India. You're not buying junk from India, buying excellent quality from India. But it's time we really give it a good look, rather than just brushing it off because it's not made in America or made in America means made in China. Baidurjya makes all the components for them. Let's be honest here. Who are we kidding? 95% of all components are made in that one city. So, you can't get around that. But at least people are taking initiative here in India. It's important to support them. Okay. Last question, and I'm leaving this open to all of you. Please answer one by one. Okay. COVID is going to definitely die down one day. The situation is going to improve. Shows will come back. Okay. How do you see the future for music, for gear, for your performances as a band? How do you see your future in the ever evolving, music scene? So I open this question to anyone. Anyone would like to answer what they envision for the future, how you see your band evolving, how you see your band maybe even releasing more albums and what platforms, all those things, please talk about it. And let's start off with anyone who wants to unmute.
Yeah, so this particular COVID period, like the 5 months where we were sitting in our homes and not doing anything, like I mean, we were trying to do a lot of things, but then it is very important that us as musicians, we face a lot of backlash from a lot of people. You're like, "Arey, kaha musician? Kya music karo? IT karo, ye karo, wo karo,"
Yeah.
and it's a lot of mental pressure on musicians who are full time artists. Like they are doing, their income is based on this. Music, solely music. And people like us have to figure out, we had to figure out a way to keep our income, our livelihoods, at the same time our music going, keeping our mental and physical health in mind. And when it comes to the future, the way we have developed ourselves, the way basically the musicians have developed themselves to get accustomed to something like this, even in the future, near future, when COVID goes away and when the live shows come back, the entire, what I believe is, entire thing is going to get split into two. People are going to have live events, and people are, because of the comfort, and people are also going to have on stage full concert events because of the live experience, like what things are happening. It's going to be split up, but at the same time it is definitely going to evolve. And us as a band, we really needed this time to just sit and contemplate that, nahi, bhai, this is the next step that we had to do. Because when you are in a competition, ultimately you end up in a competition whether you like it or not. You have to stand out from other artists, and you have to stand out from the people who are, your people you're surrounded by. And we really needed this pause where we could sit down and we could figure out, okay, this should be our next step, validate our own work for ourselves, for our own satisfaction, and then putting it out, rather than just putting out a content for the sake of it. And that was very important, and this period actually helped a lot of musicians out in this aspect.
Wonderful. Anybody else would like to add to that?
I specifically feel that one of the major changes that is going to come through with respect to gears and everything is, like, I'll add to this, is adding to Alvin's point at the end of the day, is the sector of people moving to a personalized home production. That's going to increase now, since everybody's forced to stay at home and make their own stuff, collaborate. At the end of the day, you need equipment to do so. Without that, it's not going to happen. And I think that's the way forward right now. People are invariably, we take bands like Animals as leaders. I mean, they stay in different places and they record crazy tracks one after the other, right? So that's going to be the future. I mean, people are going to invest in equipment which is essentially going to enable them to record at their own expense, firstly. And definitely post-COVID, I have a genuine feeling that the scope of live events is going to increase drastically, because people will want to get out. So for the next few months, I sincerely feel that the ones who are going to conduct live events, they're going to see a full house each time, because people will be at their peak, the limit, like, we need to go out. So that's going to be one of the major driving factors. As a band, again, like what I'd like to point out is, yes, we definitely require this time to contemplate where we are and where we need to be. But more or less, I feel that post-COVID, we would definitely have that, right now we felt that the wheels were slowing down at some point of time. But right now we feel that we're back at pace. We got this time, we're back into full throttle right now, and post-COVID is just moving forward. There's no looking back anymore.
Fantastic. Anybody else wants to add to that?
I think these guys have mostly covered all the points, but as Shourish said, I think even I have a similar feeling that post-COVID people would like to go out and finally witness a non-online show and rather get the actual vibe. And we also to it and hope that we are one of the few who get the chance immediately after COVID to go up on stage and do what we do the best. And I hope that happens soon enough.
Wonderful, wonderful, fantastic. Vinay, you can wrap it up with your thoughts.
Yeah, it's just I'm just waiting for this pandemic to end, so we can all
wait before Vinay continues, Vinay is part of numerous bands. You definitely are going to have business. You're just waiting for the lockdown to go away. He's literally part of. He's played with every other Chennai band that you can see.
There's somebody who commented like long time back, Vinay is Chennai's official drummer, which is not a joke. Which is not a joke at all.
So Vinay, if ever I do a gig in Chennai, I know who I'm going to call, right? Very good. Awesome. Great.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
no, definitely. Yeah, when we come, please. Yeah, we can definitely done.
Definitely. Looking definitely forward to it. And wonderful to have this candid chat with all you guys. And definitely going to look up all your wonderful songs. That song was killer, huh? It was really, really nice. Excellent stuff. I can't wait to hear it with
Thank you so much.
entire band. Have you guys done like a record? What's your plan for that?
So we are working on, like we said, we are planning to put out a 4-track EP called Saiforosh, and this is the title track of it.
Wonderful.
And we were midway by the end of February, and March we thought we'll just take a break, and it just became too long. So so that's how it is. But then yes, we are sitting at home, and we all have like Sudhin pointed out, we have enabled ourselves to record from wherever we are, and that's like the biggest thing that every other musician could have done for themselves, enabling themselves to record and send tracks to wherever we can. And since we were capable enough to do that, and we are just sending tracks to each other, pointing things out, making changes, and we are like, this is done, this is done, this is done. So I would say we are 50% done with the EP, and remaining things are like work in progress right now. So hopefully by this end of the year, we are able to put it out.
I mean, come on, John Petrucci just released one today. So,
I swear.
He also did it remotely, so so that's just proof that you can make excellent music remotely also. So okay, now over to Baidurjya. Let's hear those lovely pedals in action, man. Let's hear those fast fingers moving, and you're going to regale us with some of your playing. Let's do it.
Right. Before I play, I just want to thank Gigi Gadgets for putting this up, and all the people who don't know about them and are watching this live, you guys should check them out, because honestly, like Sahil said, I was blown away when I saw the packaging. Like, I've never seen a pedal packaging, like a power brick packaging like that. So either ways, they sound great and they're amazing. You guys should check them out. And I hope you guys can hear me well today, because you can.
Yeah, and special thanks to ProMusicals as well for being a part of this event. And over to you, Baidurjya.
So the thing I'm gonna play is more of like an improvisation of improvisation on a track. I hope you guys hear the track, because I myself is kind of doubtful here with the settings, but I'll give it a go. Just give me a second.
Wow. Awesome, man. Awesome playing. Like the tones from that guitar. Great stuff. Great stuff. Looking forward to seeing a lot of music from you guys and wish you all the best for a safe and wonderful future. Thanks to Gigi Gadgets for putting this all together and ProMusicals for being a part of this event as well. Wish you all the best. Stay safe and keep on rocking, guys.
You as well.
Bye, guys.
Bye.